too numerous to enumerate.
In your book, you have also mentioned that consumption of acid fruit juices stored in cadmium plated metal and pots and pans with cadmium containing glazing can also cause poisoning in people. So in 1970s, when people had not much of awareness about cadmium, could this also be the reason of exposure during that time?
Absolutely. I told you there are so many reasons why this could have happened, the high cadmium level. Even if we were to accept that as an authentic, internal exposure rather than external exposure having occurred, there's so many things that we need to think of. Like for instance, was this person fond of drinking fruit juices, especially acidic fruit juices like orange or lemon or whatever it is, whether they were stored in a particular kind of container and that was possible for this cadmium to leach, as we say, into the juice, and over a period of time he got poisoned because he's drinking that kind of juice for a long time in a large quantity. Definitely possible. There are several cases recorded of families being poisoned over a period of time by some chemical leaching from containers into especially acidic fruit juices stored, including in glazed enamelware, where the glazing, if it is not done. There are so many publications out there, and it is a well-known phenomenon that if you are not careful with the container, then you be very careful as to what you store in it.
Even if we disregard the environmental contamination and consider that this hair reports are also found to be positive in a second laboratory with the ideal methodology, would a high hair sample would always be proportional to high cadmium levels in the body?
That is a very pertinent question. Yes, we come to another reason why hair analysis has fallen into some kind of disrepute of late. It is because if you take a particular sample, analyze it, you get high values, and that is replicated by another laboratory. Still, we cannot be sure that it is authentic, because that is a kind of cesspool that heavy metal analysis is. Heavy metal analysis in hair can also be vitiated by factors like the person's constitution itself, his gender or her, his or her gender, or age, and so many other things which need to be factored in. It is like in a forensic situation, somebody has died, you can find out the time since death as to how much time has elapsed. But there are so many factors there that we have got formulae that have to be factored before you come to the conclusion it was so many hours since he died. It's not a simple thing like he's in rigor mortis, so it must be 10 hours. No, that's only one. So similarly here, yes, this is a possible thing what you have got, but you will have to also now look at all the factors to make it watertight, that there is no question of anything else vitiating this result. I have got this result, I have looked at all the confounding factors, eliminated all that, addressed all that, and therefore this result has to be now taken as conclusive for the cause of death. Otherwise, you should be honest and say that this is a result that I got. There are some confounding issues, but maybe they should be investigated further and found that whether this is possible or not. Let us be a little bit modest and honest, and then project it to the people concerned and let them take a decision. But you can't take a stand and say that this is what we got and therefore it is poison. Like I said, it's not always 1 + 1 = 2 in toxicological analysis. It is not like that in many cases. We need to be very careful. Again, I come back to that point of interpretation. Toxicology reports are very difficult to interpret sometimes, need to be done very carefully. It is not like a biochemistry report or a pathology report or a microbiology report. You have done some tests, you got some this thing, you immediately, sometimes you can even automate it, isn't it? And it comes out as a printout and high hemoglobin so much percentage and so on. It is not like that. That is a problem with the toxicology, and that is why it's always said toxicology report should be interpreted even by medical professional in association with the analyst who did, so that both will address issues and finally you come to a kind of opinion that is credible as possible. Still there can be issues. So toxicology always we consider as a supplement to the clinical picture. It is never the final word. If you are looking at toxicology report as a final word, you are going to get into a lot of problems, because it is a confusing kind of thing that many people, including doctors, don't realize. They look at a toxicology report, they see some result, they draw some conclusion, and that actually can be wrong. So here, if there was suspicion, I think the proper thing would have been to constitute a board of specialists with that kind of toxicology background, medical background. They should have discussed and found out what it is and come forth with some sort of consensus statement. And believe me, in this case, if it were done, I have the suspicion that there won't be a consensus statement, because there will be differing opinions in that board, and finally the opinion will be that we can't give an opinion because it's so confusing.
He died at the age of 81. Before that, he had some medical problems. He had diabetes, he had blood pressure, he had cardiac problems, and he also had kidney problems at a later age. So this can be considered from a medical point of view as a part of aging process, aging of the body organs. If suppose cadmium was used as even a very low dose, subtle chronic poison over a period of few months, do you think it would escape the attention of a clinician?
If somebody is having these diseases that you enumerated and it is progressing at a much faster rate than expected, or the person is deteriorating in spite of treatment, an average clinician with a basic kind of clinical acumen will know that there is something here that he needs to find out. Why is it happening? Because that is not the usual thing that we expect. Somebody has diabetes, we have got excellent kinds of medicines today. We can control the sugar, or if it is hypertension, we have got absolutely wonderful medications that stabilize the blood pressure. But if you give all those kinds of medications, still he is not getting stabilized, in fact is deteriorating, yes, an average clinician will know there is something wrong. And if that never occurred to the doctors who were attending to Srila Prabhupada, then I think there must not have been anything like that. Otherwise, how did it escape the notice of doctors with basic medical qualification will know that. If the best medicines are not working, and in spite of it somebody is deteriorating, and that too deteriorating quite rapidly, there is something here that needs to be addressed.
Do you feel Ayurvedic medicines, although the Ayurvedic doctors do say that they don't use, hardly use or don't use at all cadmium because it has no therapeutic value from Ayurveda point of view, but in your observation, have you come across cases where high cadmiums have been found in people who are taking Ayurvedic medication?
This is a bit of a delicate area because there are two systems of medicines we are talking here. I am not an expert in Ayurveda. I am an expert in allopathy to some extent. So I should not be passing comments, especially disparaging comments, on something that I am not 100% clear about. But I know for a fact that Ayurveda, even if it does use heavy metals, I am told very emphatically by Ayurvedic practitioners that there are processes of detoxification of those metals before they go into the medicine. And I feel that I should believe that, because we can't twist something and say that that is not the case. That is not fair. So I think that Ayurvedic medicines are good basically. There must be something in it. They have been used for so many centuries. And I also believe practitioners who say that if an Ayurvedic medicine is prepared in the way it should be, it should not have anything toxic in it. And even if you use things like heavy metals, there should be some process that has been done to make it detoxic or detoxified. Now the problem here in India is Ayurvedic medicine sector is not very well regulated. You have excellent companies which may be following